I shared a video a week ago talking about my prediction for Ethereum, and it got a fair amount of views, which tells me you guys are probably wondering about other top coins. I've already talked about Bitcoin, so that leaves one big coin, in my opinion, that's a real competitor to Ethereum, which is Solana. Now, like it or hate it, use it or dump it, it doesn't matter. Solana does have a significant market cap. It does have significant mind share in crypto. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about a reasonable top target, but more importantly, what caused Solana's downfall in the previous bull market. So that way we know what to look forward to happening, at least knowing when the top is in for this market. My name is Aaron Dishner from the Better Traders, and we're going to get into it right away. But before we do, hit the like button, take out a notebook, some sort of device that you can write with so you can take notes, and also leave a comment with what you've learned in the video down below. Let's get into it. Solana has had an incredible rally. It's been a ridiculous coin for multiple reasons, but namely, it's this rally right here that got the most interest for Solana. Now, before this, it was literally just an FTX meme coin. It really was. I mean, back over here, Sam Bankman-Fried talked about, sell me all the Solana you can, I'll buy it all up, and it proceeded to rally up 14,000%. This is not abnormal or unusual to happen at the start of a massive bull market rally, especially with new listings. So a lot of you are wondering, are we going to see that same kind of rally again? Oh God, no. No way, not at all. But what I want you to see though, is that when there is desire, when there is use case, when there is some sort of valid reason why a token should exist, then there's demand in a market. So back over here, we saw a market-wide rally, which is really good. But really what happened back over here in October 2023, if you remember, memes went absolutely crazy. Specifically, memes were launching hundreds of memes. Thousands of memes were launching every single day on Solana's ecosystem, and that caused people to buy Solana. And the same reason why the NFT craze caused people to buy Ethereum. They wanted to buy Ethereum to participate in all the NFT auctions and sales and stuff and minting. So Solana memes did the same thing. You had to buy Solana to participate in the Solana ecosystem meme coins. So that's what also caused the rally of Solana to go up higher, or the price of Solana to rally. Now, we all know what happened. Interest kind of waned. Price went back and forth for a while. We saw a nice high over here, just shy of $300 back in January, specifically January 19th. And now we see Solana just kind of chopping sideways. Again, it feels really similar right now to how it did back over here. Yes, it had a really nice rally, but could it really go higher? And knowing that this is a top year, in my opinion, does that mean that Solana should be topping out at a much higher price? Because I've seen some stupid, literally stupid price predictions. The first thing we need to do is to use Fibonacci levels. The Fibonacci retracement tool is one of the best at identifying potential price targets for resistance. So the Fib retracement tool is right here. You can click Alt F on your Windows keyboard or Option F if you're on a Mac. I've already done this before, and we're going to look at these 2025 fibs. The way that I draw them is you identify a local high to the Pico bottom after that high, and then you're looking after the fact. So the top to the drop, and now you're identifying support and resistance levels. Now looking at this, targets that I always look at, just like in the Ethereum video, are the 1272 and the 1618. The 1272 is super modest at $400. That's not that not that unrealistic. $600, again, I think that's a pretty realistic target given the fact that when things get frothy, we will see coins just go absolutely nuts for literally no reason at all. From the current price up here to $400, it's only an increase of 120%. Up here to the 618, $600, it's 200%. That seems pretty good. But again, we just saw Solana shoot up how many percent back over here? I have to measure it again just because of how jaw-dropping it is. Really, it's like 20,000%. So 200%, 300% really doesn't feel as incredible. And that's because Solana is old. Welcome to crypto. When 4 years later, a coin is very, very old and it's lost a lot of interest. But we can still use this to gauge where some good targets can be, or better yet, where we might see some levels of resistance be met as the price goes up higher. Now let's look at this retroactively from the 2022 fibs, looking at our top to our drop over a much bigger market cycle right here. Once we've identified the bottom, isn't it amazing to see how price just is hugging the 236 at $18, wicks over here to the 0.382, which is at $30, falls right back down. So this helps us to see, yes, these levels are respected. And even on the rally, you can see a wick up here to test the 0.5, gets rejected, shoots up. Another push to test the 618, falls down, shoots back up, shooting up to the 786, falls down. So you can see how these Fibonacci retracement levels work really well at identifying future points of resistance for a chart. Now, the exciting thing is what happens when the price starts to finally move above the previous all-time high. And of course, we know that Solana didn't really make it that far. We saw it hit and touch and test previous all-time high range back over here in November 2024. Then it dropped a little bit, and then we saw another push up here in January, like we talked about before, and it fell back down. And it kind of bounced from there, and here it is. It's kind of chopping sideways in this range from the 786 to the previous all-time high, which is admittedly a massive range of 100%. But I want to go a little bit farther than fibs. I want to talk more about expectations, previous all-time highs, and where it actually seems reasonable to predict a market high. Now, the last market high just below $260 was euphoric. But what's more interesting about this is that this level had a significant support level, or this level saw a high, mainly because it correlated with the market top. You could say that because November 2021, but how could you ever know that that was the top? Well, if we draw support from our low here, December 2020, to these lows that are right over here in July 2021, we actually get a huge clue. And this is what I'm hinting at to watch for this bull market cycle. We can see that we have a low here and a low here, and we can see that the price of Solana drops below it. Doesn't have a huge reaction, to be honest. It just keeps dropping a little bit, but that's really it. Right there, December 10th, 2021, when Solana was at basically the same price at $180, that was the time to get out. Now, we wouldn't be able to tell where this level is, especially as we're seeing the price go up higher. So what is actually the best thing to do is as you see a chart continue to pump and go parabolic, and we see it break this level of support, what I do is I just keep monitoring and I keep drawing out the level to see how is it respecting it. And when it makes new lows, I drop it lower, I drop it lower, I drop it lower until it finally does bounce. And when it finally does bounce, then I leave it alone. Then this is the level of support to watch. Once Solana broke below about $180, that was it. We still had about 2 weeks left before it really started to dump. And even then, it took a while for it to really puke. But eventually, it did. Now, it's really interesting because if we zoom out, we can do that same concept right now. And this is using something I call not a resistance fan, a support fan. A support fan is basically finding and identifying the peak low to the next massive low that we have over here back on, to get the right date, December 29th, 2022, when Solana fell down to $8. What a steal. Bear markets are always gifts. And, you don't really feel like it's a gift at the time, but buying Solana even at $10, knowing that it's up to $180 right now, that's a pretty amazing gift, right? But anyway, hindsight is 2020, as they say. So we have this all-time low right here, and we can see something really interesting happening. We have a pullback here in June 2023. It doesn't quite come down to this level, shoots up, kind of comes back down to it, and then it starts rallying yet again. What's crazy is check it out over here. The current price of Solana, it's not getting close to it, but it's close enough. It really is too close. And this is where the concept of a support, this is really bothering me. I have to really fix this. A support fan comes into play. Why? Because when we draw from one low to the next, and then we identify that low to the next low, it gives us a secondary support level. And what's crazy about this one, check this out. Now, I know, this really should be drawn out here. I'll do it anyway. I don't want to, but I'll do it anyway. And we'll do another one right here. There we go. So this is how I would draw a support fan. I want to show you these sequentially though. So here's the next one. What's crazy is that when we saw Solana have its pullback over here with peak fear on April 7th and again another drop here on June 23rd, it kept coming closer to this level. You know what? It actually interceded this level or intercepted this level if we use the fastest support line fan. What did I say before? I said before that we want to continue to use support levels because they tell us when a chart or when price action is starting to look weak and bearish. Admittedly, the angle of this uptrend is massive compared to this one, which is pretty flat. Solana went really parabolic before, not so much today. But that does not discount the validity of watching for a significant break of this support level. So even if you're not a big fan of this idea of a support fan per se, we can remove these other two and find a level that we need to be watching. So if for some weird reason, Solana absolutely crashed today down to $110 and kept falling, that would be very bad. But I don't expect that to happen. If anything, I expect the price of Solana to increase more. I actually expect it to keep moving up higher. Now, before I share my targets with you, where I think things are going, I want to draw your attention over to our website at thebettertraders.com. All the concepts that I'm teaching you today in regards to support levels, Fibonacci retracements and extensions, all that stuff, it's all taught in the courses already in a linear format, comes with coaching, comes with a course guide. You never lose access. It's fantastic. The stuff I'm talking about today is really taught more in the Smarter Trader course, which is our advanced active trading course. But if you're just starting out in crypto, or you're a beginner or intermediate, you're looking at ways to trade cryptocurrency passively and actively, this is the course for you, 15 Minutes to Financial Freedom. It's a great course, and you learn how to take advantage of automated trading tools on Altrady, plus using the TBO, which we haven't even talked about yet, but we will, and trend trading tools and strategies. Now, I'm really wanting to share with you where I think Solana is headed for a top target. And I already kind of hinted at that. I want to hide this for now. And I want to hide that for now too. Because we need to go back to something that's pretty wild. Now, I'm kind of giving away a secret here, so you guys owe me a massive like. But I really like using historical Fibonacci levels as projection targets. This is the legit high for Solana at $4.95 before it dropped down here to a pivot low, down here to what, like $1, which is insane. And then we saw it rocket up higher. Now, why is this significant? Well, these stacked Fibonacci extension levels do an amazing job of plotting support and resistance levels. Now, it's not going to pico hit the top every time, but it does a pretty amazing job of finding support and resistance levels as the chart goes up higher and even as it drops lower and lower and lower. What's interesting is that if we look at this Fibonacci extension moving forward, yes, there are a lot of lines, don't worry, but we can also see price action today respecting these old levels from back at the beginning of the chart, back in 2020. Namely, back over here, this ping pong range, going up here just shy of $300, going back down, going up here. Isn't that kind of odd? I think it is. So when we take our 2025 Fibs, looking at possible top targets of $400, $600, again, these are pretty modest. If we take our historical Fibonacci projections, what I think is more interesting is that we are seeing an overlap here at around $300, which means that this is a pretty significant area of resistance. Then I'm seeing a little bit of an overlap right here, just under $600. Something to be kind of wary of. When we throw on our 2022 Fibs, way back from over here, the 2021 top to the 2022 drop, we get another target just under $700. Now, I know a lot of people are going to be frothing at the mouth telling you Solana is going to go up here, pull another 10x to $2,000. If there's a use case for Solana beyond NFTs, like we saw back in 2023, I think this is completely plausible. But really anything above $2,000, in my opinion, is pie in the sky, like dreamland territory. Again, like this chart has already had a huge start. The 2023 rally really pushed Solana up super duper high. And because it's been quote unquote trapped in this sideways range for such a long time, everyone has become complacent with price action. Whereas I believe that people really at this point are probably buying, even here, right smack dab in the middle at $180. I think most people would be really happy with selling, just under $700. Up here would be incredible. And this is where you're going to get a lot of clicks and views and a lot of people getting really excited and frothy at the mouth. Not really realistic in my mind. So when I look at the current fib levels, knowing that price action has been kind of trapped in the sideways range for quite a while, I really don't see Solana going absolutely crazy. $600 seems to line up with several projections. Now, I know this looks like a lot of lines, and we haven't even talked about the TBO as far as the trend goes, and that's what I want to talk about next. The TBO indicator is available in the Better Traders Club, and you learn how to use this as well in our course, 15 Minutes to Financial Freedom. Plus, there's the TBO Pro in the Advanced Active Trading course. So the thing that I want to share about this indicator, even though it's quite busy, I want to focus in on a couple of things, namely the TBO breakout, which is where we get this indicator's name from. It's the namesake. So looking at the cloud, which is this mass, all these different moving averages here, and the breakouts, we can see a couple of things. Well, rather, I can. I'm going to share what I'm seeing with you. But for one, we need to go back further so you can get an idea of why I'm seeing what I'm seeing and why I'm thinking what I'm thinking. Back over here in January 2021, we saw a nice uptrend of a rally, and we see these two TBO breakouts during a period where the cloud was in a transitionary period. It wasn't strong bullish, and what I determine a strong bullish cloud to be is when this lowest line of the TBO cloud, which is the TBO slow line, the slowest moving average, is really pointing up strongly, which is what we saw. Note, we even have a third TBO breakout, but it's delayed significantly after, 12 days or so? That's when it prints. If we go on further, we'll see another one of these breakouts right over here. Again, during a transitionary period, it breaks out high. We get 3 in a row, which is my favorite breakout, and then it pops another 200%. And that's pretty much it. Now, it takes a while for us to bottom out to get the next TBO breakout, but hold on, hang tight. You're going to see what I'm talking about in just a second. Finally, after a long period of sideways chop, we get a nice breakout, and we have 2 TBO breakouts, delayed a little bit of sideways price action, and then another breakout, and the price just rips higher. Note the slow line starting to curl up higher and higher during this period, showing that we have a strong trend intact. Finally, it tops out over here, which is incredible. It's an amazing rally. And now we're back to this chop city. We get a breakout here, but it's too high, too late. Boom, and it falls down. Going back over here, now we're coming up to our current day. This is November 2024, 3 TBO breakouts in a row. The price does break out 26%. Not a massive move, but it is a good move. And note what happened before. It was in this choppy period where we saw the TBO slow line starting to curl up. You kind of getting what I'm going at right now? So now we're looking at Solana in the current day, and it's just come out of a very long churn. Downward price action, a lot of stuff. And now we're starting to finally see the TBO slow line curling up. Yes, we have 2 recent breakouts as the filming of this video, which today it's Thursday, July 2025, Thursday the 24th of July. And yes, we have a pullback here on Solana. So I'm not looking at this going, well, that's a fail, because what I see is the slow line starting to curl up. What I see is volume, and this is our free TBT-based quote currency converter. I see volume exceeding the moving average a lot, which is a really positive sign, even if the price is falling down and we're seeing selling happening. If I go to the weekly time frame and I look at weekly volume, it's not quite there yet. I really want to see it euphoric, just absolutely pummeling this moving average where it's just going higher and higher and higher. We're not there yet, but look, today's Thursday. You'll see this video in 3 days. By that time, my guess is that this gray line will be exceeding this yellow line. Even if the price of Solana goes down, this is a very positive sign in my book. I like this. Now, one thing to consider as well, not one, but another thing to consider as well is weekly RSI. I'm trying to show multiple angles right now, not just focusing on the TBO indicator, because I want you to see this from different angles. We see here on weekly RSI, which I use a length of 7, we can see very clearly that RSI has a new pattern. We have a low here on the 31st of March. Then we see a higher low, and we see it making a higher high. We can see an uptrend intact. Now, does this mean that we're immediately going to fall lower? I don't necessarily think so. I'm more focused on the fact that we're seeing a nice uptrend, just like we saw basically back over here, December 2022. Or you could even say like over here, June 2023, we're seeing a higher high, higher low, and eventually we're going to get to this area where we get above 70. Now, this is where the fireworks start firing. I'm going to draw a super crude overhead trend line, okay? There is overhead resistance, and yes, I do draw resistance lines on RSI, and you should too, and here's why. If we see RSI on the weekly time frame not just move above 70, but above this trend line that's very crudely drawn, that will be a massive signal. What else will be a massive signal is if we see RSI exceed this level at about 80 on the weekly. Anytime we see weekly RSI above 70 is a massively bullish signal. And if we are going to exceed previous local highs, again, super bullish signal. Why am I sharing this with you? Well, I know a lot of you are disappointed probably at my projection, right? You're thinking, what? Solana's only going to go to like $600 or like only 400? Again, it depends on volume, which should stay consistent week over week. We should see RSI shooting up much higher, ideally above this high set over here back in November 2024 at 8106, okay? If we see weekly RSI for Solana exceeding this level, then I think it's not just going to stop over here at 400 or even 600. We could actually see it move up to 1,000, but we really need to see some confirmation on several fronts. One, price action in general is still really weak. We need to see more bullish upside continuation. There's significant chop in this sideways range that we've already identified between $123 to $260. If Solana has enough energy, not just to move up out of this range, but even above this mid-range point, which again is so clearly defined right here by our old fib levels, then I think we actually have a shot to see Solana go up much higher. But again, once we start getting up to these pie in the sky numbers, I just struggle a little bit. And when it does break out higher, when we see higher highs, you've got to make sure to keep an eye on our current support fan. Because if we see Solana start breaking support at any time, we want to be mindful of this and also protect profit if at all possible. I would love to see Solana go up much, 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 much higher. But we should also be realistic. We know that we have a good support level, but we also know what happened back in 2021. We have some great potential targets where we could see Solana be hitting up here at $600 or maybe even higher at like $800 or $1,000. But again, we need to be realistic. Now, I know you don't want me to be realistic. You want me to be, well, living up to my name, which is Moon and Papa. And the reality is that, yes, this is crazy. Yes, I probably just met you, but I would really love it if you subscribed to this channel and you leave a comment down below letting me know what you think. I'm just one analyst. I might be right, might be wrong, but these are the reasons why I think Solana is probably going to be headed up to about $600 and calling it a day. Now, again, the major things to watch: volume, weekly RSI, a breakout above the previous high, ideally above $300, and demand, use case, something to make Solana really desirable again, because the market's not really buying Solana for meme coins anymore. There are already other competitors that you can use. So it's lost that one use case, unfortunately. And I know that there's so many other use cases that a lot of you are going to let me know in the comments section down below. But again, I just can't shake the feeling that Solana might not be a huge performer this time around. Oh, I know. Please don't throw the computer. Please, it hurts. Oh. But again, let me know what you think down below in the comments. And I want you to watch this video about my Ethereum prediction just in case you missed it, okay? Until the next time, you know what to do. Stay awesome and stay in the green. Peace.